Kelsea Ballerini's journey in the public eye has taken an unexpected emotional turn, one that has captivated fans and sparked intense discussions about modern womanhood, timing, and the weight of personal choices. Known for years as a talented yet moderate country singer from Tennessee, her life changed dramatically after her 2022 divorce from Morgan Evans. The breakup, highly public and deeply painful, inspired her to create an EP so raw and vulnerable that it pushed her into mainstream success almost overnight. Suddenly, she wasn't just a country artist. She was a cultural voice, opening doors to conversations women didn't know they needed to have. The EP, Roll Up the Welcome Mat, became a mirror for thousands of women who had felt misunderstood or unseen in their relationships. In one track, fans debate whether it was Blind Side or Blind Spot. She reveals that one of the major tensions in her marriage was a question of children. He was 7 years older, established, and ready to settle. She was rising, working tirelessly to match his earlier success, and not yet prepared to shift her life toward motherhood. The clash was fundamental, and they both knew it. In interviews, including her candid conversation on Call Her Daddy, she described a moment that pierced through the superficial layers of their marriage. Sitting at dinner, she tried to compromise. She told him her 30th birthday gift to them would be freezing her eggs, an acknowledgement of her love for him, but also her clear understanding that she wasn't ready. According to her, he refused. He wanted children immediately. Waiting was not an option. That moment symbolized their emotional distance, leading them toward divorce just as she approached her 30s. After their split, she threw herself into her craft, and her career soared in ways she couldn't predict it while married. She stepped into a wider spotlight, winning awards, writing her most powerful material, and even finding love again with an actor from Outer Banks. Their relationship became a dreamy, almost cinematic chapter, full of creativity, travel, and shared passion. Yet even that relationship wasn't without turbulence. Breakups, reunions, and emotional whiplash became part of the storyline. Still, the world saw her thriving creatively and personally. Then, just days ago, she released a surprise single titled I Sit in Parks, a song that forced the public to pause. It wasn't celebratory or triumphant. It wasn't the sound of a woman winning. Instead, it was the sound of a woman sitting quietly with herself, observing families in parks, watching mothers push their children on swings, and confronting her own longing with startling honesty. She even mentioned sitting alone, hitting her vape, and wondering if she has waited too long to build a life she once thought she could postpone indefinitely. Now 33, still successful, still admired, still in love, she finds herself wrestling with a new question. Did she trade too much for ambition? In the song, she admits the conflict directly, wondering whether the path Rolling Stone praises is also the path that costs her the future she now desires. She compares album deadlines to friends' due dates, realizing the gulf between her achievements and her personal dreams. Her final line, a mix of humor and resignation, is about refilling her Lexapro and getting back to work. It's a portrait of modern womanhood, ambition and longing intertwined. The emotional impact of the song has been enormous. Social media is filled with comments from women who feel pierced by every lyric. They write about their own choices, degrees earned, promotions won, cities moved to, all while putting family life on hold. Many share their heartbreak, confessing they believe they were doing the right thing by prioritizing independence, only to reach their early 30s feeling unfulfilled or unsure if they missed something irreplaceable. The song acted like a pressure valve, releasing years of silent anxiety many women didn't know how to articulate. This conversation taps into a cultural shift that has been building for years. The message championed by modern empowerment movements, financial independence first, relationships later, has been both a blessing and a burden. Women understandably don't want to rely on men or become trapped in unhealthy dynamics. They feel safer building their careers first. Yet safe and fulfilled aren't always the same thing. As many achieve stability, they discover success cannot replace belonging, connection, or the profound desire for a family. Desires that don't disappear just because society tells them it's empowering to ignore them. Society often tells young women they must choose between freedom and family. And for many, the stress of maternity leave, Career interruptions and economic uncertainty reinforces the fear that becoming a mother means losing everything they've worked for. But the deeper question becomes, is avoiding vulnerability worth sacrificing the experiences most women ultimately want? Is the path of, I don't need anyone, truly freedom? Or simply another form of self-protection that leads to loneliness disguised as empowerment? These complicated emotions surface again and again as women respond to Kelsey's new song. At the same time, online culture often portrays rejecting traditional relationships as a badge of honor, a way for women to prove they are strong and self-contained. The narrative of, I don't need a man, is delivered as a triumphant rallying cry, something to be proud of. But beneath the surface, many women are quietly grappling with dissatisfaction. They want love, partnership, intimacy, and a shared future, but feel pressure to pretend otherwise. They fear judgment, disappointment, or appearing weak for admitting they want a family more than another promotion. Communities that promote independence at all costs can slip into toxic empathy, encouraging women to suppress their natural desires to fit a group ideal rather than pursue their own. When celebrities like Taylor Swift or Adele make personal life choices that don't align with these online groups, those communities react with anger, not because they were betrayed, but because those women's happiness disrupts the narrative that dismissing relationships is empowering. Kelsey's honesty disrupts that narrative too. It forces women to confront feelings they've been told to silence. When Taylor Swift got engaged, the child-free communities had an online meltdown. For years, some had seen her as symbolic proof that a woman could be wildly successful without settling down. Her engagement threatened that belief. Just as Adele's weight loss upset the body positivity movement, Swift's relationship encouraged many women to reconsider choices they thought were fixed. It's not that these communities are wrong to celebrate freedom. It's that they sometimes build identity around rejecting things many people naturally desire. What many overlook is the obvious truth embedded in Taylor Swift's songwriting. She has always been a romantic. Her music has always been about love, longing, heartbreak, and the dream of a future with someone. She wasn't betraying anyone by falling in love. She was fulfilling the story she'd been writing for years. But fans who projected their own beliefs onto her felt abandoned. Her happiness confronted their assumptions. Kelsey's new song does the same, forcing listeners to ask whether they genuinely rejected motherhood or simply try to convince themselves they didn't want it. Another layer of complexity comes from the narrative that conservative commentators sometimes push, that women hit a wall at 30, that their lives are effectively over, and that they have squandered their chances if they aren't married with kids by then. This rhetoric, often framed harshly, harms women who are already vulnerable or conflicted. It reinforces fear rather than offering hope, and it ignores the reality that many women in their 30s build beautiful relationships and families. Taylor Swift, now in her mid-30s, is a direct contradiction to that doom-filled narrative. Kelsey Ballerini's vulnerability highlights something many women know privately but don't always say. The biological clock is real, but it is not a death sentence. Fertility declines, yes. It is not something to ignore. But neither is it true that a woman at 30 is past her prime. Many women build families in their 30s and early 40s. Technology, health options, and changing cultural norms all create space for new possibilities. The real issue isn't age itself, but waiting without a plan, assuming time will stretch indefinitely. Kelsey is reflecting on timing, not impossibility. Some argue that celebrities shouldn't influence culture, yet they undeniably do. When someone with Taylor Swift's cultural power eventually has children, experts predict it could spark a genuine shift in birth trends. Not because people idolize her, but because role models shape what society considers normal, desirable, and possible. When fans see women who are accomplished, financially stable, emotionally grounded, and happy starting families, it counters years of messaging that frame motherhood as a trap rather than a joy. Kelsey's honesty may contribute to that cultural change, too, in her own way. Younger celebrities like Millie Bobby Brown amplify that shift. After marrying young and adopting a baby, she speaks candidly about how becoming a mother was her lifelong dream, something she pursued confidently despite public criticism. Actors like Timothée Chalamet have even voiced sadness over how mainstream it has become to dismiss children altogether. Their perspectives aren't political statements, but reflections of a changing emotional climate. They challenge a belief that choosing family early is outdated or oppressive. For younger fans watching these figures, it normalizes embracing family life sooner rather than later. For a long time, many conservatives dismissed pop culture, claiming it didn't matter or wasn't worth engaging with. But it does matter. Cultural icons influence everything: fashion, values, identity, relationships, expectations. And when cultural voices begin shifting toward themes of family, stability, and emotional fulfillment, young people take notice. The impact is subtle but powerful. Kelsea Ballerini's openness, Taylor Swift's romantic clarity, Millie's early motherhood. These stories reshape how women think about autonomy, purpose, and what truly matters in their lives. All of this brings us back to why Kelsea's new song struck such a deep chord. It wasn't just a confession. It was a mirror reflecting a generation's fears. Many women in their late 20s and early 30s have spent years building careers, protecting themselves and avoiding vulnerability, but they're now asking if they sacrifice something irreplaceable along the way. They are not wrong for trying to be secure or independent, but independence alone cannot satisfy every human longing, and pretending it can has left many feeling hollow. The truth is that wanting a partner, wanting a child, wanting a family, these aren't signs of weakness or conformity. They're fundamental human desires. Some may genuinely not want them, and that's fine. But many women have been pressured to deny their desires so thoroughly that they've forgotten what they truly want. Kelsea's moment in the park, watching families laugh, swing, play, captured something universal. It wasn't regret, it was realization. Realizing the gap between the life you built and the life you imagined is one of the hardest emotional confrontations a person can have. I Sit in Parks will be remembered not just as a song, but as a cultural snapshot of a generation caught between empowerment and longing. It challenges the false belief that success alone can fill every emotional void. It comforts women who feel afraid or uncertain. And most importantly, it opens the door to honest, necessary conversations about choice, timing, and the complicated paths women navigate today. Kelsea may not have all the answers, but her willingness to ask the questions out loud is what makes her story resonate so deeply.